July 26. We're holed up in a farmhouse outside of Marigny. I close my eyes thinking of Hazel, but end up having the dream again.
Red, take a shot!
Same dream, huh?
Pretty much. Can't seem to shake it. I'm good now. You get some rest.
No. I have to show Pierson I'm ready.
I don't care what he says. You ain't got nothing to prove.
Yeah, well, I'm tired of taking his shit. Back home, you want to settle something, you do it head on. It's the only way to earn respect.
Understand that? Believe me, a man has to fight his own battles. But respect don't mean a lot if you get yourself killed.
Just glad you got my back. Besides, good old St. Michael's watching over us, so we got nothing to worry about.
Didn't realize you guys believed in that stuff.
I'll take all the help I can get. So are you gonna tell me about that dream, or what?
Wolves had been killing our cattle. Me and my older brother Paul were hunting them when we got cornered.
Red! Red, take the shot!
I'm trying!
You all right?
I'm sorry, Paul.
Listen good, kid. It's only natural to be scared. We need to head home, baby brother.
From that day on, I swore I'd never let Paul down again. But now it's not just him I gotta live up to. It's Pierson.
Get to cover! Come on! Hey, Turner will lead the maneuver element into the square. Our job is to lay down suppressive fire from that church. Any questions? Good, I have a question. Save them up, Styles. You win a gold star. Let's go. I think I'm his favorite. On the move. Holy shit! I need cover fire on the left. Everyone else, flank right. Secure that house. Break it, move cover. I'll cover you. Enemies moving. Enemies on our doorstep. From the east. Right, moving in from the southeast. Making a break. Now, dead ahead. I'm setting them up. Reloading. I'm going in! Back to back! Gotta reload! Daniels, keep your head down! They're trying to maneuver! Move ahead! Tracks, come on! Take the leg! Let's go! Let's go! Move up inside! Crouch deep, inbound!
They're in the open!
German grenade! Out! Enemies on our doorstep! Enemies inbound! Daniels, get on the half-track MG!
Infantry in the open! Contact, 1 o'clock! Move up and file!
Street's clear! Rally by the church door! Okay, Daniels, you take the door.
Got it!
Where'd they go?
They must have run when they heard us coming.
Krauts left some supplies. Stock up before we get to the tower.
Hey, no, Sus.
Shit!
MG on the
Get down! Get down!
Krauts, second floor! Take him out!
Got one! Huh?
Keep pushing! Let's go!
Got him!
Fuck him out! Stay low and flank him!
Lob it a grenade!
Let's go! Get after him! All right, clear. The church is out. Daniels, get eyes on those guns.
Huh?
Daniels, door, now!
Move it to the door! Krauts are down on our fighters!
Zussman, Aiello, get out there and hit those guns!
Yes, Sergeant!
Daniel, Stiles, you provide overwatch from the tower with me.
Just glad it's gonna be you up there. No pressure.
Don't worry, I've got your back.
You better!
Everybody up the stairs, let's move! Get to the ladder. Hope nobody's scared of heights.
Would it matter?
Nope. Come on, get up here. Eyes on Zussman, get ready. All right, they're moving. Lay suppressive fire so they can take out those flak guns. Krauts for the burning car. Clear those crowds blocking Zussman from the AA gun. Fritz, dead ahead of him. Snipers in the building!
Enemy, second floor!
Got him! Not bad! Daniels, hit those snipers!
Still up!
Check the windows!
more fire over there!
Germans, left flank! There's another AA gun in the courtyard! It's unmanned! Keep an eye on it!
Clear him a path!
They're close! He's still moving!
Flamethrower!
I see him!
You got this!
Mop up the rest!
Firing!
Take him out!
Good one, Daniels!
Focus on our squad! Clear! Yeah! They did it! Half-tracks moving into the square! They're pinning our boys! Hit the turrets! One down, 2 to go! They can't move! Hit those guns! Focus on our squad!
Nice shot!
They're getting closer to the flak guns!
Krauts on the rooftop!
Can't let them hold the high ground! I got Zussman pinned! Daniel, Krauts at the end of the street! There you go!
They're taking fire from behind!
Half-track on their rear!
Winged him!
They're getting surrounded!
Wounded!
Got him surrounded! Got him! I got Zussman pinned!
The hell was that?
Must be Turner! You got it! Cover them so they can support Zussman!
There's one flak gun left! Woohoo! Enemy's targeting us!
Everyone out! Now!
Jesus!
I got you! Hold on! No!
Look out! Get out of the way! Get out of there! Hurry!
They're coming down!
Move your ass! Oh, shit! Come on, go! Almost there! Watch out! You see wings on me, Private?
No, Sergeant.
That's because I'm not your fairy fucking godmother! God damn it! I just lost 2 good men in there! Now we gotta pull it together and take out those guns! Come on!
I don't see Zussman!
God damn it! They were together before it collapsed! Best we can do now is hold this position! Can't let those traps up here!
Got extra grenades if you need them! Germans in the open!
Ready? Hold your position! Come on, they need cover fire! Suppressive fire! Need fire!
Grenade out!
That good is still alive! Bring it for cover!
smokes! Enemies moving! They're exiting cover!
On the left!
Yes, Sergeant! Grenade out!
Grenades and smokes, over here!
Hide, boy!
Target for the P-47! Daniels, get a red smoke out there!
Don't gotta ask me twice! Smoke out!
Enemy on the right!
Hold them on till the P-47s get here! Where the hell are those planes? Hold your position! P-47s are coming in! Clear out!
Zussman!
I got it.
Good work, men. You gave it everything you had. Got these bastards on the run. That was some damn fine soldiering. I'd say they came through pretty well, wouldn't you, Sergeant? Maybe you were wrong about them.
You've been holding out on me, boys. You've been way too easy on you. Well, now we're gonna find out what you're really made of.
If we brought him Hitler's head on a silver platter, he'd complain about the shine.
We keep fighting like we did today, war will be over in no time. That's why we gotta make the big plays now.
All right, I'm in. We captured Marigny. Germans are retreating as fast as we advance. But we're in Pierson's crosshairs more than ever. Guess we'll just have to deliver and then some.